I am so proud of this medal. I did this medal, or I did this race, the firecracker race, this weekend, which I was not expecting, but I'm so glad that I did it. And it's a really small race. It's 5K. The race that I had done before this one was the New York City Marathon, 26.2 miles in New York City back in 2018. And that race, when I finished that race, it is the moment of finishing that race, I will never forget. It was a sensational experience that I don't know if I'll ever experience again, but I'm happy that I did, because it literally it's sort of like being a Coke bottle and you're being shaken, and throughout the entire race that you're running, you're just being shaken. And then the moment that you cross the finish line, it's as if someone opens the bottle and you just explode. All the foam comes out, all the bubbles come out. And that's what it was for me. I literally had a sensation that surged from the bottom of my feet all the way to the top of my head. And I was so proud of this moment, that I had accomplished such a big race. And this little small one that I did, I'm just as proud of it, because it reminds me that I love to run. And my sister encouraged me to sign up for this race. And let me just pause a little bit, because this is what sucks when you're doing content video creation sometimes. With natural lighting, the lighting just goes up and down. If it's cloudy, and I live in LA, it's cloudy today, so it's one of those days. So let me pause for a bit. A little better. But anyway, what I wanted to show that to you today, because I think it's a great example for me doing this race, how I was able to weave in self-care strategies and the tools that have been working for me into my work, and why that has been so important. One of the things that I recently read was Fast Company just covered this, where they published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine that quantified the impact of employee burnout. And according to this research, employee burnout cost American businesses anywhere between $4,000 and $21,000 per employee in lost productivity and turnover. So for a company with 1,000 employees, that adds up to about $5 million a year. And that's a massive problem for big corporations. But just imagine how much burnout is costing you as a solopreneur, as a small business owner. And I wanted to talk about that in this video. There's this misconception that self-care is separate from our work, and that if we're not working, then that's when we can do self-care. Or when we're doing self-care, that's when we shouldn't be working. But actually, for me, the best self-care is when you are able to weave into your work. Doing this race, I did it mainly because I knew it was convenient. It was right in my neighborhood. And I want to get back to running. Since running my last marathon, training up for that marathon was very difficult. It took a lot of time, a lot of training. I got injured, had to recover from that injury. And so when I finished that finish line, I think that is why that moment was a culmination of all the hard work that I had been doing. But what ended up happening was I let it go. I completely let go of running, because I was training for this marathon, right? Like, it was hard work. It was a lot of physical work, a lot of investment in time, and a lot of investment on training my body, the stamina to finish a huge race like the New York City Marathon. And I was proud of that moment. I was so proud of the moment that I finished, but I never went back because I was burnt out. I was burnt out from all that training and then actually doing the race. And you can think about it as a performance because you train for the race, you put in all this time and energy and practice, getting your stamina and your breathing and everything. And the race day comes and it's like going on stage. You're now using everything that you've done up until that point to do this goal, to achieve this goal of running this race and finishing this race. And I never went back to it, right? Like, I actually never even did a short race. I never actually even went back to running long distance. I didn't run more than a mile or two after that. Now it's been 7 years since that marathon, and I hadn't ran more than 2 miles at a time. Signing up for this race, I knew it would only be 1 more mile than what I normally do or what I have normally done in the past 7 years. But I knew that I now had new tools to incorporate into my running. I had meditation techniques that I could incorporate into my running to perform at my best. And mind you, I hadn't trained for a 5K because it was only 1 more mile. I wasn't even planning on doing this race. My sister encouraged me to sign up, so I signed up very last minute the night before. And I told myself that it was doable because I usually do run at least up to 2 miles. What would 1 more mile do? Which would really be nothing. And I had remembered that I had run a whole marathon before, so I knew that I could do it. What I didn't expect about this race was also that it was very hilly. Here in the LA Chinatown Dodger Stadium area, there's tons of hills. You may not know because you're probably driving around the area all the time, but if you ever walk or are in the area, you know there's tons of hills here. So for me to run this course and run uphill 80% of the time, it felt like the whole course was 80% hill. It was a big moment for me to tap into my meditation techniques and begin to focus each and every single step and focus on each individual step as a way for me to push myself to keep moving forward. And as I was running, focusing on each step that I took forward, I essentially meditated during my run, focusing only on the sensation of my feet hitting the ground. And nothing else mattered but that moment and this moment and that moment and every little tiny moment where my feet stepped on the ground. And this approach actually made my performance 1,000 times better. I averaged an 11:20 pace and finished the race in 36 minutes. And considering, like I said, that I have a pace of this 13 and 16 minutes, I was really, really proud of myself. And I had successfully translated my self-care techniques to impact other areas of my life, allowing me to push past my previous limitations. So this is what effective self-care looks like, because if we are going to talk about burnout and the cost of burnout for big corporations and what that means for the cost of burnout for smaller businesses and entrepreneurs, I want you to not just understand that self-care is important, but that self-care or effective self-care is about being able to weave in techniques and strategies to impact those other areas of your life and to work for you in your daily work so that you can optimize your performance, so that you can optimize your work that allows you to bring in those results. So I would say that the solution to burnout isn't just stopping work and indulging in self-care. Of course, there's ways that we can self-care away from work, but I think that if you are someone that is suffering from burnout, it's because you may have strong beliefs in work ethic and pushing yourself to the limit and believing that pushing of yourself is what's going to get you to the next level or to that sales goal or revenue goal, and that hard work equals money. And I believe that it's not just about hard work, because obviously that doesn't work. It's about weaving in that self-care into the work that you're already doing. It's almost as if, in the example of the race, the work is running, right? You're doing the act of running. Your body is doing the work of getting you forward to the finish line. But the other component of that is your mental piece. It's being able to incorporate the mental aspect of it as well. And that mental piece is the intentional pausing and self-care that you do throughout your workday so that you can keep moving forward in your most optimal self, right? It's almost, if you were think about it in another way, it's almost as if you were knitting a blanket and one needle holds the work thread and the other needle holds the self-care thread, and you are knitting them together to create a blanket so that you can cover yourself, feel comfortable, be cozy, and continue doing the work so that you can be confident in your abilities, integrating that self-care into your work. And because the opposite of burnout is fulfillment, it's engagement, it's purpose. Whether you're working for a corporation or you're running your own business, the results that you create are from being able to marry both your work and your intentionality towards your self-care. All right. So here are 3 ways that you can incorporate your self-care into your work, right? Number 1 is one of the example that I just gave you, is being able to pause and reflect throughout the day. Think of them as like micro pauses and micro reflections. It's sort of like that breath, that like moment between your breaths that we don't notice, but that still exist and are essential in the actual breathing, right? So if you think about breathing, before inhaling, there's a pause. At the top of the inhale, there's a pause, and then you exhale and there's another pause before you take the next breath. So that moment between breaths is the moments that we don't fully see or aware of, that we can attribute to the moments in our work that we can begin to take care of, that we can begin to mindfully pause for, right? So think of them as like transition points. If you are in a meeting or have multiple tasks throughout the day, before transitioning to your next task or before transitioning to your next meeting, take 60 seconds to just sit with yourself and breathe. Do some meditation. You can do meditation in 60 seconds. Put a timer and sit with yourself and just simply be in the present moment of your breath and pause. That is one of the concrete ways that you can weave meditation and self-care into your everyday. Is just being mindful of those micro moments between the days that are transition points from one task to another or one meeting to another, and can help you become a little bit more mindful and understanding that you are in the present moment. And what matters in that present moment is how you are being in that moment. All right. So that is number 1. Okay. Number 2 is checking in with your body. So I've been loving the check-ins with my body lately, even if it's just for 15 seconds, where if I've been sitting for an hour or 2, I check in and I pinpoint, or I do a body scan where I am feeling tension or discomfort. In this moment right now, pausing for it right now, I'm actually feeling tension on my lower right back, right? I feel it. And sometimes those sensations are always there, right? But we don't pay attention to them because we're doing something else. But if we happen to take a moment to do a body scan just to see where our bodies need a little bit of love and attention, we can begin to do some mindful pausing and remind ourselves that we've been at this task for 2 hours. We haven't drank water. We haven't ate lunch. And now we gotta pause. So do a 15-second body scan just to check in with where you might be feeling tension, where you might be feeling numbness or tingling, or maybe you might be feeling something else, but do a body scan and check in with yourself. All right. And then number 3, I would say this is more of a question that you can ask yourself is set your timer for every 2 hours, and every 2 hours, go back and analyze and look at everything you've done and ask yourself how everything that you've done in the past 2 hours, how does it relate to your goals and your bigger purpose, right? Like it's sort of like incorporating journaling into your everyday. So you can write it down and you don't have to take a whole 20 minutes to do this. You just ask yourself that question, put it on a sticky note, put it in front of you, put a timer for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, ask yourself that question. How did everything that you just did connect back to your larger purpose and your goals? And take a minute to just write down your thoughts, whatever comes out. And don't worry about what comes up for you. It's just you practicing the ability to stay aware, the ability to check in with yourself, the ability to nurture not just your body, but your mind and your heart. And that way you can begin to do micro sessions of self-care in between your work. And it doesn't have to be all that deep all the time. It's just intentionally doing that throughout the day. And see how it goes for you for the next week or so, and reflect on it. How has it made you feel? Bonus tip, I would say, and explore meditation for at least 2 minutes a day, just for you to learn what it feels like to be in the present moment. What has it looked like for you to be present? And remember that it starts with exploring. I had another video, which I will put up here, on using the act of exploration to find the techniques that really work for us. So you can go out and learn all this information. I can give you all the tools that I know about how to take better care of yourself and your mind and your heart as you continue on your entrepreneur journey, as you continue to build your confidence, as you continue to build your HEFA moves. I can give you all of those things, but really what it comes down to is your openness and your willingness to explore different techniques and stick with it. Stick with it. It's gonna take time, and sometimes it takes a little bit of research and time, and that's what this is. If you really want to be intentional about your own self-care and how that impacts your journey as an entrepreneur, and wanting to take better care of yourself so that you can continue building the business that you love and continue to nurture the customers that you impact, it takes some exploration. All right. So even when you have small races like this one or a big marathon, you have ways to take care of yourself throughout the process. All right. Whether you're working for a huge goal that you envision for yourself, or you simply want to get through your week's goal and accomplish that week's goal, then learn how to create micro self-care moments for you throughout your day. Okay. So start with that. I can't wait to hear from you about your journey with engaging and embracing self-care in a way that's fun, that's convenient for you, that feels authentic to you, that you finally stick to. Because it's not easy when we are in a cycle and used to burnout. It's hard to come out of that. We have to start small. You don't have to do all these 3 things all at once. Pick one of them and explore that one technique for the next week and just see how you feel afterwards. I can't wait to hear from you. Let me know in the comments how this has helped you. I'm excited because self-care, I love self-care so much because it just continues to feed our souls and our energy so that we can continue to create and talk about things that are valuable and create communities and to continue to build our businesses with full confidence, with full energy. And I'm excited to help you do that. So I invite you to come check me out at beabosscoaching.com and schedule a call with me. I would love to speak with you. And that way we can explore coaching and explore some of the challenges that you might be experiencing through your entrepreneurship journey. And perhaps it might be that you are stuck in a cycle of work and burnout and unable to get out of it. So schedule a call with me, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'm excited to meet with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.